welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the 2021 version of the Crispy Noodle podcast that we are doing virtually over the internet. Wow, I can't believe we're still doing this. This is a special episode in terms of the Crispy Noodle timeline. This marks a full year that we've been doing the Crispy Compact Communique during the COVID-19 pandemic. We're still hanging in there. I'm Rich Liebig.
I'm Uncle Costanzo.
And we are still here to give you some interesting tidbits in sports, entertainment, and odd news. Yes, this time, 1 year ago, we started the Crispy Compact Communique. We'll go over some more memories with that in just a bit. But before we get into that, sports, entertainment, and odd news, Mikey, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing good. This past weekend was pretty busy. It was sandwiched between my mom's birthday and my girlfriend's birthday. So, we did a whole bunch of celebrating the two birthdays, which was a lot of fun. So we got my mom, we all chipped in, we got my mom a Cricut. Have you ever heard of these things? It's you're like
phone?
looking at no, not the phone and
I
not
was like, that's
and
not really a good birthday present.
no, not the phone and not the bug. It's basically like this device that allows you to print and cut a whole bunch of different materials, right? So you can do cardboard, you can do cork, you can do paper, vinyls, iron-on stuff. Basically allows you to do your own crafting.
Oh, that's
And
perfect for her.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm in Michael's, and the section for this thing is wild. I didn't realize how many things you could do with it. You can do like you can buy t-shirts and you can do like the vinyl iron-on stuff. You can have it print and cut that out, so you can do that on your own. They sell like coasters and mugs, and like you can create so many different things with this contraption. So I'm like really eager to see how it works, but my mom refuses to set it up and actually use it. So, the other day I was like pulling it apart. I'm like, fucking, I'm going to set it up myself. But I didn't actually go through with it. But I'm really interested in how it works. I'm really intrigued. And I didn't realize it was such a huge, like, thing with crafting were these machines. Have you ever been to a Michael's and seen how many different printing and cutting machines there are?
Well, I mean, literally, the whole store is just huge. So it
Yeah, but
doesn't surprise me.
it's like this subset of it where it's like basically they're all these copycat machines that do the same thing. You feed it materials and it prints and cuts it, and it's like I was totally overwhelmed. I'm like, I had no idea that this was a thing for like home crafters. And everybody wanted one. My mom, like, as soon as she opened it, it was like the best gift she's ever gotten in her entire 60 some years on this planet. I was like, oh my God, really?
There you go.
But
That
women, they love their crafting.
lights up her heart.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we were doing this past weekend. And then this upcoming weekend, I'm going to be going down to Annapolis for the weekend to celebrate my girlfriend's birthday. So
Oh, there
got
you go.
a lot of fun stuff planned, a lot of fun stuff coming up. So staying busy here. Rich, what have you been up to recently?
One simple answer, and that was the Zack Snyder Justice League
That took
Snyder
up the
cut.
whole weekend, right?
I mean, look, it was a 4 hour movie. It required significant time to analyze and enjoy. We'll get into that in a little bit in the entertainment portion. But yeah, that's pretty much what I was up to this weekend. It was something I had to do. It was a journey that I did not know I needed to go on. But we'll get into that
Okay.
in the entertainment portion of the show. But I teased this just a couple minutes ago, so let's go back into it. Yeah, this marks one full year of us doing the Crispy Compact Communique. Yeah, this was
Yep.
the start of it all when me and Mikey, we didn't know how exactly we were going to transition the Crispy Noodle podcast, which was a 2 hour audio only podcast, into a 1 hour virtual format that we're doing on Skype. And when we started out on Skype. We tried
Yeah.
Skype. We
Yep.
tried I think we tried something else, and then we tried Zoom, and OBS worked very succinctly, and that's what we've been going with. And now we've got the setup that you see here if you're watching this video feed on Facebook Live or YouTube. But if you're still listening to the audio podcast, well, we're still available on that, and we're still satisfying those people as well that are listening to us in the car, on the go. Yeah, it's bizarre to think we've been doing this now for a year. We thought it was going to be temporary, but this may be the new way of doing the podcast.
Yeah, it was so weird at the time thinking, we were just going to do it a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most. Now it's like we have our own. I never thought that we'd get to a 1-year anniversary of the Crispy Compact Communiqué. Like it's its own spin-off series now.
Yeah.
It's like a whole year, a whole, I guess, season of the Crispy Noodle podcast is now, this weird spin-off thing. But not really. I mean, we've been lucky enough that we've maintained the basic integrity of the show. We've done some fun things. Didn't we interview a propane salesman
Yeah,
1 week?
that's right. It was 4th of July.
We got creative over these past couple of months trying to figure out how to do stuff. We started doing the Zoom backgrounds and, just keeping it fun, keeping in line with the sort of vibe of the Crispy Noodle podcast.
Yeah. And now on a week-by-week basis, you can analyze what T-shirts we wear to these things. Because I think
you're wearing Ghost now.
Yeah, I think by this point I've gone through every single Ghost T-shirt that I own. And yep, Mike's representing PlayStation. Very good. So yeah, you got to see our wardrobe if you've been watching this the whole way. So
got to see the wardrobe, got to see the every variation of my weak little beard.
That's a good point. Wasn't that this whole year was the beard?
I grew the beard like everybody else did in quarantine. My beard's never going to be quite as full as other people's beards, but the girlfriend likes it, so I figured I'd keep it.
That's what matters.
Yeah, it's fun, the visual element. I remember for the longest time we always said, "Oh, we should do more video." And then Mother Nature's like, "Okay, well, if you're not going to do it yourselves, we're going to force you to do it.
Here's a curveball. Deal with it."
Yeah, deal with it. But we rose to the occasion and we did it.
Yep. So thank you guys for supporting us. Even if it was just a simple like or a couple of minutes you're able to join us, it definitely means the difference when it comes to streaming and doing these videos and the podcast itself. So thank you guys for helping us along in this weird journey of the Crispy Noodle podcast. But no time for sob stories. We got to get to some news stories. And this first one is rocking the NFL world. So we got to talk about Deshaun Watson. I mean, first off, we all knew that he was having troubles with the Houston Texans organization. At one point, rumors were that he declared to the organization he would never play another down for the Houston Texans, and he demanded to be traded. Well, I think Deshaun Watson might get his wish, but not the way that he wanted to, because there have been now, what are we up to? 16 accusations?
16 civil suits against Deshaun Watson with at least 24 accusers. We talked about a little bit last week about how some women came forward and accused Deshaun Watson of inappropriate behavior and general, sexual harassment and misconduct. And since that point, I think we started last week, it was like at 7 accusers. And it's just, almost, more than doubled. One plaintiff called him a, quote, serial predator, claiming he locked the door behind them, exposed himself to her, and touched her with his penis. And then he told her to never speak about it, according to the allegations. Meanwhile, on the other side, of course, you have Watson's attorney claiming that there's strong evidence that at least one suit is false, which calls into question the legitimacy of all the other suits, as they claim. Meanwhile, the plaintiff's attorney is preparing to provide evidence and affidavits to the Houston police and district attorney. So they think there might even be criminal charges involved in all this. It is just a whirlwind of controversy and constantly changing headlines as the number continues to grow. And it's really, really troubling that Deshaun Watson went from one of the best quarterbacks in the league to now, there's questions about his future. Could he be cut by the team? Is he going to be signed by another team? But more than that, I mean, if these suits go to any sort of criminal charges, this could be really, really bad for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, this could get ugly pretty fast. Watson has been doing everything he can on his end. He immediately came out, denounced the claims, said that he claims that he has never done anything that these lawsuits have been accusing him of, and that he looks forward to clearing his name. So, I mean, right now,
it's just he said, she said, and until there's more concrete information, you have to, you have to at face value believe the victims and do the investigation, and two, you have to assume that Deshaun Watson is innocent until proven guilty. So, but you know what I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not trying to condemn Watson right away, but when you look at the numbers, 16 civil suits and 24 accusers, that's a lot of smoke, right? I mean, even if only a quarter of them end up being true, this is a tragedy, is what it is.
Mike, if any of them end up being true,
if any of them, and all it takes is just one. So, I mean, this is really bad. This is really bad. And the NFL, they don't have a great history dealing with stuff like this, and it's been very quiet from the Houston Texans and the NFL. So,
well, the Houston Texans, I don't know what you do if you're the Texans. Do you still trade them? Do you cut them? Do you keep them as a punishment?
Well, I mean, exactly, and this is the thing, and we're sports. This is the sports segment, so let's bring it back to sports. Let's bring it back to the on the field issues. His trade value's got to be nothing right now. The Houston Texans are in this situation where do they keep this player because he's legitimately on a good day, a top 5 quarterback when he doesn't want to be there and amidst all this controversy? Or do you try to ship him off so you don't have to deal with the controversy, but knowing that you're only going to get maybe a first rounder, if anything, for Deshaun Watson? Or do you just cut him outright? And then on the flip side of things, previously it was reported that the Eagles were still interested. This is back when there were only 12 civil suits. The Eagles were like, 12. We can handle 12.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when I saw this headlines, I was like, come on, Eagles, have a little bit more, values and principles there. But they're like, 12, we can manage 12. So I was shocked to see that the Eagles were still interested in pursuing Deshaun Watson. But now I don't think – could you imagine any team realistically going after Watson, carrying this baggage? I mean, true or not, you don't want to invite this into your locker room. It just blows it up.
Yeah, unless you're like Dallas, but they already got Dak, so they're good.
Well, Jerry Jones is kicking himself, right?
Yeah. Or the Steelers, because you had Big Ben. I mean, there is a little bit of a precedent here.
You're not wrong. The Steelers are like, he sounds like Steeler character. Let's get him. People know who've listened to this podcast, I've always called Big Ben a rapist because that's essentially what he was. But,
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. It's such a sad turn of events.
Yeah.
Watching these headlines come out.
So, right. And my thing is just Deshaun Watson before I'll go with the 2020. I think before the 2020 season started, he was viewed as like not even just even a great quarterback. Like players consistently ranked him as like one of the nicest, friendliest guys. So these accusations just seem totally out of character for someone like him.
What's interesting is that this list of allegations, the first incident started March of 2020. I mean, that they have a timeline on ESPN.com of all the different accusations, and the first one is in March of 2020. So, it's very strange that somebody could turn like that, but you have to wonder if his discontent coupled with that was right when the pandemic had just shut things down, if power and status and boredom just gets to a person, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or if these allegations are true, maybe he was always kind of a predator, and he was waiting for his moment to strike. You know,
Right.
like
Maybe
look,
that's why he wanted to get out of Houston.
like if that's true, that would kind of be like a Kevin Spacey situation where everybody before the allegations came out about Kevin Spacey, everyone adored him. He was the
Oh
he,
yeah, he was fantastic. And
yeah,
then
and
all of a sudden the
then
accusations come out and it casts everything in a new light, and all of a sudden, you open that can of worms. It's like, and you can't put it back together.
right,
Um, you know what? Yeah, I mean, between being a locker room problem now with being a disgruntled player, and now with a very real legal issue on his hands, his career might be done.
if criminal charges come out of this, oh yeah, that you can't mess around with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, he could be done if criminal charges come out of this. Yeah,
Yeah. So it has been a wacky, wild off season. This is not the way we thought this story was gonna go three
not at
months
all.
ago, or
Nope.
3 weeks, 3 months ago. Um, yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and let you know in the future whether or not criminal charges get filed, what happens to Watson, and we'll move on from there. But, whew, yeah, this is a
Really, really sad and shocking
yeah,
news.
big can
But
of nope.
yeah, exactly. But I'm glad to see that the Eagles are no longer pursuing a potential trade for Deshaun Watson
Yeah, he went more than a
because
dozen allegations. We can't do that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. As soon as the 13th one came in, they're like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, more than a dozen. We can't do that.
But also, another reason why perhaps they decided not to pursue Watson is because they landed another quarterback free agent. And we're going to get into some Eagles offseason news here with the announcement that the Eagles have officially signed aging Delaware legend quarterback Joe Flacco
Delaware Joe, here we go.
to come in as a veteran presence at
What
the
is it with
quarterback
guys?
position.
What is it with Delaware and guys named Joe? Joe Biden,
Joe Biden, Joe Flacco. You know why? Because the Delaware is the Joe of the country. Like, it's just a very generic, bland, just like Joe. It's an average Joe. Delaware is an average Joe state.
Average. Yeah, have a cup of Joe with your average Joe
with your average Joe, and
in
yeah,
the Joe of the United States, Delaware.
Exactly.
Put that on a flag. I want that as the flag of Delaware now.
Have a cup of Joe with an average Joe.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a town called Joe, Delaware. That'd be great.
Joe's Town.
Maybe. But Rich, joking aside about Joe's, what do you think about the Eagles' newest Joe?
I mean, I would.
What is there to think? It's a nothing signing, right?
Right. It's basically just to have a veteran presence for Jalen Hurts, give you some depth in the quarterback room. I would have rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick. I really do not understand. We could have had Fitzmagic, but at the same time, Washington gave him $10 million.
The Eagles just don't have that.
So maybe after seeing that contract, I'm a little bit better with swallowing the Flacco pill. But you know what? In the end of the day, I think you were talking about this. It actually kind of makes a good story because Flacco is from. He went to the University of Delaware, so he's a local guy. He's playing for the home team. Maybe it's something you can get behind. Good little bit of a good feel good story, but
yeah,
it's not not something you're gonna set the world on fire with.
This is very much the Eagles trying to, bring in some wholesome veteran quarterback presence to sort of, I think, wipe the slate clean from the messy Wentz divorce. Because Wentz is out there saying how it wasn't fun in Philadelphia, and he's going on and on about how he feels more at home in Indianapolis. And you have Howie Roseman basically saying that it was Wentz's and his camp's decision to, find something better. So the Eagles are trying to get that taste out of everyone's mouth. And the best way to do that is to bring in, somebody who was from the area, grew up as an Eagles fan, is a steady, reliable locker room presence, isn't going to contend with Hurts for the starting job, and just, give a little bit of that like foundation, that we need to start rebuilding. because now this is somebody that Hurts can learn the ropes of the NFL, learn what it means to be an NFL quarterback, and somebody reliable. If anything happens to Hurts, you can depend on average Joe Flacco. So overall, I think
you mean elite starter Joe Flacco?
Elite starter, right? Exactly.
He was a Super Bowl MVP.
He is. People have always said that Joe Flacco is like an elite quarterback. I'm like, where? How is he an elite quarterback?
One game.
One game. And that's all it takes sometimes. Look at Nick Foles.
Yeah, Nick Foles is a Super Bowl MVP.
All it takes is one game. But yeah, it's a boring signing, but I like the signing. It's an expected signing.
That would be funny if Eagles could somehow land Nick Foles and you would have a quarterback room with 2 Super Bowl MVPs and then Jalen Hurts.
There were still reports that they were going to try and acquire Nick Foles via trade. I mean, we just cannot get enough of Nick Foles.
No. Everyone loves Nick Foles here. How can you
everybody
not?
Loves Nick Foles.
That's why he's got a statue.
Exactly.
The man has a statue, all right?
Him and Rocky.
You're going to have to deal with it. It's Nick Foles o'clock all the time in Philadelphia.
Nick Foles o'clock. But let's talk about some actual free agent signings here. We talked about Joe Flacco. We also signed Minnesota Vikings safety Anthony Harris to a 1-year, $5 million deal. This is a good signing. It gives us a little bit of depth at the defensive backfield. Somebody to replace, the players that we've been losing, Jalen Mills. And Vikings fans are apparently upset about this, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and we needed somebody back with the safety core because we lost Jalen Mills.
Yeah.
We just have no veteran presence back there. So it's good that we got a key piece that departed from Minnesota. Doesn't fix all the problems, of course, but it's definitely a good start to retooling that defense.
Yeah, absolutely. A much needed signing.
And got him on the cheap too, $5 million. That's not bad.
That's not bad for us. I mean, I assume he's going to be the other starting safety in the defensive backfield. So, good, 2 safe signings that I think were much needed.
Yeah.
So the Eagles, not flashy during this offseason, but that was to be expected since they had to struggle to get under the cap as it was. So, we sort of have to set our expectations accordingly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. That wraps up the Eagles moves, and that will wrap up sports. But we do have some interesting entertainment news to get to. We'll get into my Justice League in just a little bit. But while I was over on the DC side, Mike was loyal to the Marvel side, and he checked out Falcon and the Winter Soldier first episode. I did not because I was spending all my time with Justice League. So, Mike, without any spoilers, what did you think of the first entry into Falcon and Winter Soldier? Is it as good as WandaVision? Is this going to be the next must-watch Disney Plus series?
So, there's tough questions to tell.
The big sigh.
No, it's because those are loaded questions for one episode. So is it as good as WandaVision? I'll start with that one. Because this was not on my radar at all. I wanted to watch WandaVision, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, oh, these 2 characters, I don't really care too much about them. I basically watched it because of WandaVision. And I saw the production value and the care and attention to detail that went into WandaVision. I said, all right, I got to try Falcon and the Winter Soldier because of that. It's not going to be as captivating, I think. Me and you, we like those more cerebral, more like thought-provoking type things, and WandaVision was very much that. It had some mystery, it had some guesswork to it. Falcon and Winter Soldier in episode 1 is not like that. It is very much in the vein of a spy thriller type show. Has huge action set pieces, which I think they did really well in the first episode. I was watching, I said, this is as good as any of the big Avengers movie set pieces. It opens up with this big aerial combat piece between Falcon and like an infinite number of helicopters, which was just ridiculous. Okay, you'll see if you watch the first episode. The bad guys have a helicopter, and then they have two more helicopters. Then they have this massive attack. I'm like, what criminal organization just casually has a fleet of like 6 attack helicopters at their disposal?
All the budget is dedicated to helicopters and air support.
Their spreadsheet, the villain spreadsheet, is just helicopter, 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 helicopter. And Falcon, of course, makes quick work of them. But it's really, really fast paced. I mean, it's incredible. Has you on the edge of your seat. Really great action sequences. I also really appreciate the way in which it, again, helps to develop the characters. So WandaVision, you got to learn a lot more about Wanda specifically. And even in the first episode, you're seeing, trying to keep spoilers to a minimum, but you're seeing a little bit of Sam's family background dynamic, right? Which is something you don't really see a lot of with the Avengers. And with the Winter Soldier, Bucky, you get to see a little bit of, very much like Wanda, the issues that he's dealing with emotionally, right? In coming back from everything. So while it doesn't have the mystique of WandaVision, it still has that really great grounded character development that WandaVision had. And I'm really excited for these TV shows because it lets us explore more in depth the individuals, and it reins it back from huge world-ending, universe-ending threats and makes it more personal. So is it required viewing? I don't know yet. But it is, the first episode introduces a few little interesting threads that, could be of interest to people who are fans of Captain America, because that is still, if you couldn't tell by my background, very much a theme of the show. Captain America is now gone. So who does the shield go to? Who becomes America's defender, right? So that is a central theme and question of this show. And they touch on a little bit in episode 1. And at the end of episode 1, there's a little bit of a twist that really, it's really the hook for the series about like, oh man, now what's going to happen next? So I really do think that people should give it a shot. I don't know where exactly it's going to fit into everything. WandaVision, I think, really evolved Wanda as a character. So I'm hoping this does the same for Falcon and Winter Soldier, especially if they're going to be big parts in, phase 4 and beyond. So I'm just continuously impressed by the TV show's ability to maintain that production quality.
Yeah.
Like, WandaVision was not a half-assed show, and neither is this. They went full force with the full might of the MCU behind it, and it's really a breath of fresh air, like the highest of quality.
Yeah, I mean, that was my initial concern with Disney announcing all these TV show spinoffs. It was like, how good can they really be compared to the epic scale of the movies and the Avengers series and stuff like that. But so far, I mean, WandaVision, they proved me wrong. They did that fantastically, and I guess with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it looks like they're still pulling it off.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, if you have doubts about the production value, just watch that, the first 15 minutes of episode 1, and it really does. It feels like a half-hour Avengers film in terms of like the action set pieces. Just really great stuff.
Okay, so there you go. Your quick little review for the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Looks like all systems go. Checking to check that one out.
Absolutely. But you mentioned that I was watching Marvel. You watched DC. You sat through the 4-hour epic saga of the Zack Snyder cut. The amazing Zack Snyder, who, I don't know, I hate filmmakers that get their own, like, the Snyder cut. So did it live up to the hype? Did Snyder cut it up real good?
Okay, so for my full take, I wrote, I took all my notes that I mentally jotted down for watching this movie, and I plugged them into a quick article that's up on the crispynoodle.com if you want the full-blown pros and cons of this movie. So there's a lot of things to break down. It's a 4-hour movie, um,
Yeah.
and with that, there's pros and cons. One of the biggest advantages to this movie is that there is a lot more lore that is explained in this take compared to the 2017 muddled rush version of Justice League, and that does the film a huge service. It finally gives an interesting backstory to the mother boxes, why Steppenwolf is trying to collect them, and also more importantly is that the supporting characters, especially the Flash and Cyborg, they get a huge upgrade in the Snyder cut. It is. I'm actually amazed that it's almost a night and day difference
Wow.
between the Snyder cut and the 2017 version of Justice League. In the 2017 version, Flash is just kind of an awkward, almost teenager like character who doesn't really do anything, who's really more of a gimmick and like kind of like almost like a comic relief character in that whole movie. And then Cyborg is almost just basically a technological tool. But in the Snyder cut, they both have well fleshed out stories. They have roles to play. Cyborg is actually interconnected to how the people in the universe use the mother boxes, and the Flash has a huge part at the end of the movie, that if you took those two characters out now, it would destroy the Snyder cut. They go from being almost kind of just gimmicky characters in 2017 to now almost being irreplaceable characters in the Snyder cut. It's actually pretty amazing what Snyder did to those two characters. So if you are Ezra Miller or Ray Fisher, you better be sending him a whole bouquet of flowers, a whole bunch of chocolates, because he just saved your characters with this cut. It is amazing,
Wow.
the change between those two movies, and I gotta say, it really made the difference with this cut. Um, so between that development, and the other fact that I also kind of want to touch on, is Batman when he's obviously Batfleck, as we're gonna as we like to call him, because Ben Affleck is Batman in this movie. Um, I feel like the tone of him trying to recruit the Justice League in this film, because it's much darker, which is a trademark of Zack Snyder, it fits so much better.
Okay.
Especially coming off of Batman versus Superman. You actually asked me this last week, or maybe it was before the. I don't know. You asked me this at some point. Do I need to watch anything before watching
Yeah.
Snyder's Justice League? And I would say you probably, out of all the movies, you need to watch Batman versus Superman the most, because that matches the tone of this movie. It matches the style of the movie. It directly matches the effects. All the effects that happen post Batman versus Superman are 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 the things that need to take place in Justice League. So I would say if there's
Okay.
one movie you need to rewatch before you watch Snyder's Justice League, it would be Batman versus Superman. And it works out better, because Batman, he now needs the Justice League, because now he's coming from a more darker place, that because Superman is not around anymore after the events of Batman versus Superman, he needs the Justice League because he's an older grizzly veteran, and he can't just rely on Wonder Woman to come out of the Amazon. I don't know, what's she from? Where Amazonian is?
Um, she's from like some mystical like Amazon place,
I don't know if
right?
they actually say they're from Amazon. I don't think so. I think there's a specific land that they're from, and I'm just blanking on the name.
Yeah.
The point is, he can't rely on just Wonder Woman just constantly come out of hiding to just save the
Right.
day. So there's more of a dire need from him that he has to put this thing together, and it fits so much better than Josh Whedon in 2017 doing these like goofy hijinks, which is straight from Marvel, which I will still never understand. Like if you went with Zack Snyder this far, if you went with him on Man of Steel, you went with him on Batman versus Superman, you went with him on the first half of shooting this movie, why would you suddenly shift gears and be like, oh my god, we have to be more like Marvel? Like it's
Did
too
they
late
get
in the
rid
game.
of, did they get rid of Zack Snyder or did he leave?
Both. It was kind of both. Snyder
Okay.
wasn't doing too good after the suicide of
Oh.
his daughter, so it was
So a mutual decision to part there, kind of.
yeah.
But then they went
Which
in the complete opposite direction.
yeah, and it doesn't make any sense with the 2017 cut.
Right.
It's definitely the true vision that this should have been is this cut. Now, with that being said, oh my god, there is just there's it's 4 hours long. I'm
Right.
sorry. Somebody needs to shake up Snyder and just say, "Hey, what are you doing?" All right. The original plan for this was that when it was announced that it was going to be released on HBO Max, was that it was going to be a mini series. It should
Okay.
have been that. The movie is already cut into 6 parts anyway, and
Okay.
actually, around the 2 hour mark of this movie is the first meeting with Steppenwolf. That kind of marks the end of the second act of the film. So to me, it makes sense. You could have either broken this out into a full-blown miniseries and have 6 parts, or this should have been 2 separate movies, and that could have been your cutoff point is after that first battle with Steppenwolf.
Right.
Because a 4 hour movie is just asking. I don't look.
That's a lot.
I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman. Batman's my favorite superhero. Even I was like, okay, we need to take a break. Like this is, 2 hours is, 4 hours is a lot. You got to break it up into some segments, and
Yeah.
and go from there. Someone I think needed to take Snyder down a peg and just be like, come on, we need to make this a little bit more reasonable here.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then my last point that I'll make here is the fact that there's kind of a sense of hope that with the fanboys and the Snyder army demanding that Warner Media get to releasing the Snyder Cut and that they did it all online and they're all proud of themselves that this came to fruition and they're happy. There's a little bit of a sentiment that they think that future Snyder works are in the are coming soon. There was an epilogue, which is I'm gonna say right now, I think you should just avoid it. But there is an epilogue to this 4 hour movie where it teases future projects. But really, I think it's just Snyder just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping things will stick.
Okay.
Because honestly, I don't think Warner Media. I think this is as far as Warner Media is prepared to go. All right, we gave you the Snyder cut that you desperately wanted. We gave you Snyder's one last chance to tell his story, but they do not. They're done. They're done with the Snyder chaos. And the reason why I'm very confident in this is because I have a quote here from Warner Media's CEO Ann Sarnoff, who was recently asked because obviously with all the hoopla going on with the Snyder Justice League cut, she was asked about future projects,
Right.
and this is her answer. And Mike, tell me, I want it to be like Seinfeld, like decode do the decoding here in this answer. All right.
Okay.
Ann Sarnoff says, quote, referring to the movie, with the movie being released comes the completion of Snyder's trilogy. We're very happy we've done this, but we're very excited about the plans we have for all the multi-dimensional DC characters that are being developed right now. Mike, does that sound like there's another Snyder project coming?
No, it's
No.
a completion, and there's a but in there. We're excited
Yes.
for the completion, but it doesn't sound like a glowing or a resounding sort of affirmation that there's going to be more Snyder movies. Um, and you know what? Honestly, they DC just I'm always so conflicted with DC. It's almost like so they don't like Snyder, or I guess they don't like his work, and they're done with it and they're going to move on. But also maybe, even though I dislike him, should they give him another shot? Should they try and find some consistency? Because the problem here with DC is that there's never been any consistency. They keep switching actors. They keep switching, how they want to do the shared universe. It just seems like it's all over the place. So, no, it doesn't sound like you're getting more Zack Snyder, but I almost wonder if, every decision the DC people make is wrong. So maybe they should stick with Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah, going back to our logic, whatever DC touches
Look,
directly has the inverse effect.
I, is it not an accurate theory? I
So
mean,
so basically, just actually let Snyder just go off on his own.
right. Just stop worrying about the movies and have no, upper management involvement whatsoever, and they might end up okay. Um, but I don't think there's going to be more Zack Snyder films.
No, I don't think so either. Especially not with that quote from Ann Sarnoff, CEO of Warner
Yeah.
Media. So that's also my recommendation. Don't watch the epilogue. It's um, it's out of place with the rest of the movie. It's off-putting. It teases things that obviously aren't going to come to fruition if what we think is going to happen is going to happen. So I think you're good with saving some time there and just ending the movie at a specific point where there's a hero shot where they line up everybody and there's dramatic music playing. Literally, it fades to black. Like, it's perfect. That should have been the ending.
Wow.
Just, that's it. Don't do the epilogue. Don't waste I think it's like 10 minutes of epilogue. No, nope. At least you can trim it down from 4 hours to 3 hours and 50 minutes.
You go.
That's the best I can do with this situation.
The real benefit there.
Yeah.
So overall, a much better version of the Justice League, but does it make it a good movie? Does it make it a worthwhile pursuit for somebody like me who hasn't been involved in the DC universe? Like, is it worth it to watch the previous films, to catch up, to watch Justice League?
Well, I would say it depends. If you watched Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman and you enjoyed those outings, then you will like Snyder's Justice League. But if you're one of those people that you watched either one of those two previous Snyder films and you thought it was too dark, too brooding, too cerebral or something, then you're not gonna like the 4 hour cut of Justice League.
Okay. Is it enough to bring new fans in?
See, that's another problem. I don't think so, because you have to.
Is it so dependent on the other Snyder movies that you have to specifically like Snyder movies to have an entry point to the DC universe? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, the thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe does so well is it's so inviting and welcoming for new fans. They do a great job of bringing people into the loop, and they're movies that everybody can sort of watch and appreciate, right? And they have a consistency. They all look and sound and feel the same in terms of the writing and the acting and even the characters. They did a phenomenal job of casting and keeping things pretty much cohesive throughout. DC, it seems like, is the opposite of that. Like, you have to be a specific fan of the way Snyder does things, or it seems like a very high bar to clear for entry. Like, it's almost off-putting to people who aren't part of it to try and find their way in,
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think with this movie, you do have to, because Snyder has his own style. you have to accept it. You have to go with the fact that he shoots darker tones. He shoots kind of more matter of factly. There's not too many uh, over the top comedic elements in this, which I think is good. It works in the universe, but I think I get your point that maybe to just a casual moviegoer that may be off putting, that it's like, oh, it's not Marvel because every now and then there's, a little bit of humor to break the suspense. It's kind of all suspense. So,
which can be a good thing, but I have never watched a DC Universe movie with the exception, I guess, of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. Those are the only two that I've seen. So it's like the idea of jumping into the universe at this point when, knowing the lackluster critical response of the movies and knowing that it's a very, sort of jumbled series, it doesn't make me want to jump in,
I would say if you want to get the full cast of characters, watch Batman versus Superman and see if you like it. And then see if you can jump into Justice League afterward. To me, Justice League is more tied into Batman versus Superman than it is the Man of Steel. But
okay, and Aquaman's out there too.
Yeah, but I mean
that doesn't count.
No, Snyder didn't. No, the heavyweight Snyder movies are Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and now the Snyder cut of Justice League. Because Snyder originally he wanted a 5-film arc for Superman. That was kind of the genesis of this whole thing. It starts out with Superman and he progresses. And yeah, so that's kind of the Snyder trilogy, I guess, is what we're going to end up calling this, because he's not going to. I highly doubt that he's going to be able to do Justice League 2 or whatever the 4th and 5th film would have been in his story. I think this is pretty much it. But I think it was good. I think it's worthy of your time. I think if you're a Batman fan, you gotta at least love Batman versus Superman and Justice League. And if you're a Superman fan, then you love all three of these, because Superman is like the connecting thread to all those movies. It's his story. So
okay.
But there you go. My full review and my full pros and cons are available on thecrispynoodle.com if you want to check out the full article. Let's move away from entertainment, and we're actually going to do a side dish. We haven't done a side dish in a while. A random topic that one of us wants to present that doesn't necessarily fit into sports, entertainment, or odd news. But this is something that me and Mike both saw, so this is an interesting discussion here. It's called the Digital Detox Challenge.
Yep.
This is, who's doing this? Reviews.org?
This is from reviews.org. Yeah. So we both saw this come across our news feed. It's this challenge set up, I guess this is a website that says that you can earn $2,400 if you are selected to and correctly complete a 24-hour digital detox. So what does that mean, the digital detox? Well, they give some statistics and some rules. So let's go over the statistics first. And this is sort of the reason why they want to do this. They found that 3 out of 4 Americans consider themselves addicted to their phones, that the majority of people check their phones once every 9 minutes, up to 160 times a day, which I can certainly attest to that. I'm definitely one of those people. And they spend an average of 56 hours and 42 minutes per week watching TV. That's nearly 17 hours more than a full-time job. So they took those numbers and said, wow, I wonder, with the pandemic and everybody focused so much on television and gaming and, the streaming services, could we incentivize people to give up their digital life for 24 hours for $2,400? And here are the rules, Rich. No cell phone, no TV, no gaming consoles or handheld gaming devices, no computers, laptops, no smartwatches or wearable tech, no smart home devices like smart speakers, smart vacuums. They mentioned that specifically, smart vacuums.
Oh boy. Yeah.
You are
put away those Roombas.
That's right. That's entertainment there. Um,
Whee!
they specify. Yeah, if you've seen the videos of where they put the cat on the
Yeah.
Roomba,
Yep.
I mean that is entertainment right there. They do say you are allowed a microwave to cook meals, and you get to pick the day that it happens. So you can pick which day of the week you can do it on, and you get a safe to store all your electronic devices and $200 Amazon gift card to buy a digital detox survival kit. So the question here is, Rich, could you do a 24-hour digital detox for $2,400?
If these are the rules that is set,
Okay. Now I'm concerned the way that you're positioning this. Go ahead.
yes. And
Okay.
I'll tell you what I can do.
Okay. What can you do?
This is something that you cannot do. I
cannot do.
Okay.
Okay.
At least you've never done this with me.
Okay.
You cannot do this. I can do this.
I'm very concerned, but I gotta know what this is.
I think maybe I could find 3 other people to do it. And what you do is you spend the whole day golfing.
Oh, God.
That doesn't use any screen. That doesn't use any technology. You're out on the golf course. You're enjoying 18 holes. Go at a slow pace. Let the other players play through. You can spend a good 6 or 7 hours if you take your slow time going from practice greens, driving range, full 18 holes at your own pace. That's like 6 hours. That's 6 or 7 hours right there. You sleep another 8. That's 14. And then cook and do some other things. I don't know. This is not as dramatic as I think it's making it out to seem. If you can find an activity that will eat up half of the day, you're in the clear. So that would be my strategy with this. But I have a feeling there's got to be some other regulation as to where you can go with this contest.
Right, because I mean, I don't know that they don't say anything else. I mean,
I feel
on
their
website.
I feel like there's got to be a rule that either they didn't outright publish or that's in the disclaimer that's you have to stay at a specific location or you got to stay at home or something like that. I feel like there's somewhere in the disclaimer like that. So that would nullify my option. But the rules as you read it out to me, that would be my game plan. Plan a whole day of golf. That'll do it. That'll do it, and you would win $2,400. I'm in.
That's actually a really great idea. And to be fair, I don't see anything in their rules on their website about going to another location. Now I'm not looking at their full terms and conditions, but just on the website. Let's see.
I think it's probably in the disclaimer or something. Because otherwise, how can they monitor? How would they be able to monitor you watching screens? You could, by that logic, you
have to submit screen time reports. So most phones and things have screen time reports, and so you have to submit them at the end of the challenge to prove that you really didn't use your phone and technology for the 24 hours.
But here's what I'm saying: you could go over to a friend's house.
You could. That's true.
Right, so I think there's got to be a rule in there in terms of location. You got to stay at your own house or something, because otherwise that doesn't make any. Then I could right there. I broke the game. I could win this. I feel like there's got to be something with that.
It seems like so. These are the terms and conditions for entering, but I don't see anything about.
If this is the case, Mike, do you want to learn golf and win $2,400?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'd like to learn. It would take me a long time to learn golf, so
it would take the whole day.
It would take the whole day, just about, for me to learn golf.
We can do it.
You know what? So, to your point, when I saw this, I was like, man, that would be tough to not, look at a phone or a computer or a TV for 24 hours. And then I did exactly what you did, and I thought about all the different activities that I do that have no screens involved. I could write. I could read, I could play board games, I could, obviously you said sleeping takes up a good portion of it. Yeah. I just became a huge fan of baking bread, which requires no smart devices. and that takes a good long time. There are plenty of things to do to stay, entertained without the technology. Obviously, it makes it easier to stay entertained with the technology. And I think the real point of it is to highlight how connected we are. So, like, yes, it's possible, but how many times have you checked your phone out on the golf course? And be honest, Rich.
Well, yeah, I wasn't in the middle of a contest.
I know, but like, I think the point of it is that it's trying to get us to be more aware of how many times we reach for our phone.
Oh yeah.
How many times we're like constantly on our screens. I think it's doable.
Oh yeah.
I think it's easily doable. You just have to be able to fight that urge, and the best way to fight that urge is to find something that will engross you for that amount of time. Like I'm thinking, when I, am playing a board game, like with, if I'm at like a game day or something, back before the pandemic, we'd be sitting around and we'd be playing games for like hours and talking and chatting and snacking. And, the phones don't come out that much when you're involved in something like that. And like you in golf, you can be busy for hours and not think about the phone. I think that's the secret, is finding your hobby that isn't technology related.
Yeah.
They give you some suggestions. Remember, you get the $200 Amazon gift card to buy a survival kit, right? And so
no. We need that for the beer on the golf course. That's it.
You need that for the beer on the golf course. Okay.
That's perfect.
Well, there you go. Well, it has to be bought through Amazon. So if you can buy it through Amazon, then you're good to go. But they give
Amazon delivery.
Here. Amazon delivery.
They're gonna the drone drop off. There you go. Perfect.
Order wine from Whole Foods and get a 2-hour delivery.
There you go.
So they give the example: typewriter to replace the laptop, board games to replace video games. They said an abacus to replace your phone's calculator tool. They give you examples of the different techless survival things you might need. What about reading or painting? That can suck up a huge amount of time. I don't think this is all that difficult. I think it's interesting. I think it's unique. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, I could totally do that, right?
I got my battle plan.
Yeah, exactly. You know where Rich will be. He'll be on the golf course.
Yeah, easy. Bam. And 18 holes takes up a good amount of time.
I think we should put our names in to be selected for this competition.
But I have to know ahead of time. Is there a location specific? Because I think that's where they would get me. I think there's got to be a rule when it comes to location.
There must be a way for location. I don't see it in the terms and conditions.
Because to me, that kind of invalidates the whole contest. If you're able to go anywhere, I think it makes more. It would be more troubling that you had to stay at home, and you can't do things that you want to do with your screens at home. So.
See, I came up with my game plan with the idea that you would have to be stuck at home.
Yeah.
So, I didn't even think about going out and doing something, because you're right. In my mind, I thought that they would force people to stay at home.
Right. So I don't know. I that's something we're gonna have to ask. What is this?
Reviews.org.
Hey, reviews. Hey, reviews.org. Smarten up. Get your disclaimers right. Smarten up over there. What are you doing?
Exactly. There's a huge gap in their challenge here.
Yeah. What are you doing over there? So, there you go. An interesting little thought experiment. Can you go 24 hours without a digital screen in your presence? It's possible. You definitely could.
Yeah.
It would be a hassle, but you could. Definitely not for the podcast though, because this is how we are doing the Crispy Compact Communiqué. So
exactly, we say we would be able to do it, but here we are on a Zoom call recording a podcast for smart devices.
Right, it wouldn't work well for this. Another thing that it wouldn't work well for is the odd news, because I've got this week's odd news report here that I've pulled up on my phone, and wow. It's another Florida story. God bless.
Of course it is.
God bless Florida. So, Mikey, do the honors.
All right. Who are these effing guys in Florida? They're Florida and they're crazy.
Oh, yeah. Talking Florida here. And we're going to follow the case of 31-year-old Brandy Stanley. Brandy Stanley.
Okay.
Brandy Stanley. That's her name. There's her lovely mugshot there. If you,
Oh my God, she looks like Darth Sidious right now.
yeah,
Because her face on my screen is like totally blown out, and I just see like the black hair. It looks like a hood. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my
She,
gosh, you're right. I should have had a Star Wars background. Yeah,
I mean, it kind of looks kind of techie, Star Warsy. Yeah. There. Okay, we can kind of see her.
yeah. She is, and she's not too happy.
No.
She had a rough night in this story.
Okay.
So first off, a 911 call was placed about a drunk female that was, quote, driving all over the drive-through.
Driving all over the drive-through. What does that mean? All over it.
Yeah. I didn't think driving through the drive-through was that complicated, but I guess if you're drunk, it could be a little tough to navigate those lines that everybody is in.
Yeah.
You know, the lines with a whole bunch of cars
Yeah.
just following that. Is it really that hard?
You know, it's tough, man, you know, to drive in that little, you know, curve, and you got to get close enough to the box to order. I can see the challenges it presents for somebody who's drunk right there.
All right, so this was outside of a McDonald's, outside of
Okay.
Orlando. Isn't that where Disney World is, Orlando?
Yeah, Disney World and Universal Studios,
So
the happiest place on earth.
supposedly, but not for. I don't think for Brandy. She's not very happy here. So she got her food eventually. So
Eventually.
that's
Okay.
good. She was eating in the vehicle. That's when cops arrived to the scene and noted that she had glassy eyes, her face was very flushed, and she smelled of alcohol. After refusing to perform field sobriety test, she was handcuffed and placed in the police car. On the way to jail, Stanley kept telling the cops, "Please just take me home. Let's just forget this." Unfortunately, once you're in the back of the police car, that's not an option anymore.
Yeah, that's too late. Like, can't we just ignore this whole thing?
I'll buy
Nope.
you a burger. How about that?
I'll buy you a burger.
will
Yeah,
that make
I
up
didn't
for
eat all
this?
my chicken nuggets. Do you want some?
You want some fries? Will that get me off of this charge?
You know, I gotta be honest. If I were a cop, I would totally be able to be bribed with food.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah,
That would be enough.
oh yeah, absolutely. If somebody was like, "You want a slice of pizza?" I'd be like, "Sure, you're free to go."
Well, there you go. If you want to bribe Mike, just give him.
Are you telling me you're gonna say no to free pizza, Rich?
No, but I wouldn't let him off.
You're like, "Oh sure, yeah, I'll have the free pizza," and then you still arrest them.
Yeah, sorry, it's the law.
You don't keep your word. How dare you?
I'm the cop.
I'm the cop. Wow. I can do whatever I want. I'm the cop.
Yeah, there you go. Ta-da!
So that's how the legal system works.
Yep.
So these cops had they were not as easily bribed as I am, though, because
No.
they apparently didn't take the food bribe, I guess.
No. So in the county lockup, that's when Stanley continued to yell and scream at the cops, which caused them to tackle her and do a search of her person.
Okay.
And that is when that they were able to feel that she had packed an 8-pack of Deep Eddy vodka underneath her bra strap.
Oh my gosh.
This is pretty impressive when you think about it.
So hold on. 8-pack of
Deep
what was that?
Eddy vodka. So
Okay.
these are the 50 milliliter airplane
Right.
bottles.
Yeah.
Fun fact, they're called nips, which is
Oh.
funny. She had nips next to her nips in her bra.
Wow. She had a lot of nips.
Yeah, she had a lot of nips.
She had a lot of nips. Woo.
She had nips. She had nips next to the nips. Whoa.
She had nips on nips on nips.
Woo.
Woo.
Getting hot down there in Florida.
Oh man, all the nips. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, she had these hidden underneath her bra, and that's what she
Okay.
was getting drunk off of.
She's getting drunk off her nips.
Yeah, she's literally getting drunk off her own nips.
And those are some alluring nips. Then I guess she's just getting drunk off her own supply.
Yeah. I thought that was
Man,
a rule in Scarface. Don't get high off your own supply.
yeah.
Whoops.
Well, she apparently doesn't take that advice.
No. So I guess yeah, that would be and straight up vodka too. That'll get you
Yeah.
drunk pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
She was charged with a pair of misdemeanor DUI accounts. She spent the night in jail, but then she posted a $2,000 bond. So that's good. She slept it off.
She slept it off.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the case of Brandy Stanley. There she is, Miss Nips. She is the
Miss Nips.
Miss Nip. There she is. Nips on top
Wow.
of Nips. There
Nips
she
on
is.
Nips.
There's
Nipception.
there she is, Miss Nip America.
It's Nipception. She's got nips on nips.
Yeah.
Nips and nips.
What a tale. I just love the fact it all started because of the fact she couldn't handle driving through the drive-through.
At like 2 miles an hour.
Yeah. Like, wow. Just
There's not. That's why initially I was like, "What does it mean by driving all over the drive-through?" There's not really.
yeah, there's not a way to do that, is there?
I don't know. I mean, maybe their drive-through is a little bit different, but like, there's not really like much to do in a drive-through.
Yeah.
You know, like, what does it mean to drive all over it?
She couldn't maintain a straight line.
I don't know.
She was probably trying to get her nips while she was.
That's what she was like, reaching in to grab her nips, tucked
Ah!
between her nips, and she just lost control of the vehicle.
Yep. Good
You
thing
know.
I'm only going 3 miles per hour in this
yeah,
in this drive-through.
exactly.
Where's my burger?
Where's my burger? I love the fact that this whole story boils down to the fact that she lost control in a drive-through and that she had nips hidden with her, between her nips.
Yeah. She must
That's
have
impressive.
really big nips, or
Yeah, well,
like to hide the nips under her nips.
her nips. Yeah.
Right? I mean, and it was
No, you're
8
right.
bottles too. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Even
I know
though
they're
they
tiny,
are-
but
Even,
they're tiny, but
Yeah.
like 8 of them together in a pack, it's still a sizable package.
right. So, and
She's good at handling a large package between her nips.
yeah. And imagine if she was one of those girls that likes to put like everything in the bra. Like there are girls
She's
that
got like her little like wallet in there and like a lip
Yeah.
balm and like and she just she like unpacks her nips and like all this stuff comes out.
yeah. So
At the end of the day, she lets loose her bra and it's just like it's just like a closet exploding.
yeah, she doesn't need a purse.
She doesn't. No, she doesn't.
It just everything just comes out.
And that's the sound it makes too.
Yeah. I don't know. This is how I would do sound effects for the universe.
Wow,
That's how it works.
that's how it works. That's science right there.
Yeah, science. And there you go. That's how we're gonna close the odd news for
The sound effect of nips exploding.
Yep. There you go. That's how it works. Before we officially wrap up the episode, let's go over apocalypse activities. Mike, what do you want to tell people to do this weekend?
I'm gonna fall back on my review from entertainment and just say go check out Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think it's worth a shot. 1 episode in, if you like it, stick with it. If not, it's only 1 episode. But I think that the action sequences in episode 1 are going to persuade people to continue with it. I was very impressed with just the overall production quality of the entire episode. So that's what I would recommend. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Go check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna cop out too. Watch Snyder Cut. If you liked Batman vs Superman, it's worth your time. Go check out Snyder Cut. Make sure you break it up into more digestible viewing content because 4 hours is too much. So either break it up by the 6 parts or my suggestion with 2 movies. Some way. Take a break. Don't watch 4 hours straight. At least I won't.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we are actually at our time. It's time to wrap it up already. Had so much fun with this episode. it just seemed like it breezed by, I think. I can't believe it's already the end of the show.
Time flies when you're having fun with the crispy noodle.
That's right. Thank you guys for supporting us. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you are following us on all the channels, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all those wonderful, lovely social media items to keep up with what we are up to with news and other things that we throw up on there. It just goes
it just goes all over.
I get to the computer and I go and social media content comes out.
Throws up the social media content. Yeah. That's right. You can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, where you can find video versions of the podcast where we will go. But if you don't want to see us doing that, you just want to hear us doing that, you can still get the audio only version of the podcast by subscribing to the Crispy Noodle Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Amazon devices. So make sure you search for, download, and subscribe to the Crispy Noodle Podcast on either YouTube or the podcast service of your choice.
That's right. And we also have a SoundCloud page where we got the mini noodles. Check that out, where we got promos of the show. That'll give you a quick laugh as well.
That's right. So many ways to get in touch with and share the Crispy Noodle Podcast. But if you want to get in touch with us individually, you can find us on Twitter, where you can share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories with us. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I'm at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on Twitter and let us know what's happening. And you can also follow us so you can see what's happening in our lives as well. But for now, we gotta wrap this up. This has been the Crispy Compact Communiqué, an offshoot of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's it for me.
All right, then that will do it for us. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys
later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.